Just imagine you're waiting for your loved one to come home, and the given time is a particular moment, and that moment has already passed. You're trying to call up, you're trying to find out, that person is not picking up the phone. You don't know where to contact, how to contact. What kind of thoughts would go in your head?
For me, it would be negative, Atman.
Most of the time, these thoughts are about adversities, isn't it? The first thought is, I wish nothing has happened. I wish there are no accidents on the road. I wish that person has got the address right. I wish that person hasn't forgotten that there was an appointment, or that person had to come to you, to your place. There's so many possibilities you would think of, and trust 80% of them is likely to be adverse. And most of the time, we are proved wrong, and still, most of the time, we have a tendency to think wrong and adverse. So it's part of our inherent nature to anticipate. Women anticipate adversities in terms of health, or possibly relationships, loved ones, their welfare, their security. Men anticipate adversities in finances, business, the economic trend, and sometimes even health. Very few of us are inherently trained to think absolutely positive and anticipating the best. How does it begin? Number one, it begins with observation of your loved ones. If your loved ones have shown anticipation about you and for you, you almost always associate anticipation with love. So you anticipate adversities in the life of your loved ones. Like your mother telling, if you'll not eat, your health will get ruined. It was a statement made. Or if you not study, you'll not get marks. Adverse statements. We actually train to think in an adverse way, and the whole life is a game to make sure that we don't come across adversity. So we don't generally go proactively towards good things in life, but the attempt remains to make sure that we don't really uh, don't get into any adversity. So the whole life is an attempt to do that. If I don't perform well, I'll be kicked out of the job. If I don't reach on time, my boss will be upset. If I don't buy the stocks now, the market could go up. If I don't sell, there can be heavy losses. So most of the time, we have trained ourselves to keep doing things to avoid adversities. So the whole focus is, in any case, on adversities. So anticipation of adversities is pretty natural if that's a way you've been performing and you're habituated to do that. I'm going to give you a solution. You don't have to stick to this. Of course, we will have solutions. However, understand why we think that way. Second is, all the statements that's been made can become a kind of a curse. You'll become a loser, or you're a loser, or you're always a late latif. You're always few steps behind. You will never get it right. You will never be happy. You will never make it. You're not one of them. You're so fat. You're so boring. You're so stupid. You're so idiotic. You're so like this. Ta, 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 ta. How many levels have we collected so far? I think we can make a museum out of those levels. And not always adverse, sometimes even good levels. But we are bound by those levels, and we don't even realize how efficiently we are proving them right, almost making them like a curse for ourselves at times. We've got to recognize them and address them. There was a young girl, I remember, she said, I'm very fine with men. But the moment it comes closer to the conversation about marriage, in her language, she says, फट जाती है मेरी, पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है मुझे. So I go so crazy. I start worrying, anticipating, start suspecting him, start thinking he surely has an affair. Surely he's not really interested. He's interested in my dad's money. Surely he's just fooling around, and I don't think he's really sure. Even if he gets engaged, there's no surety that he'll marry me. And she says, why? I mean, there's no reason. They are really genuinely serious and sincere. I've changed 3 such partners, and the 4th one I'm really in very deep love with. But I don't know. I don't think I can think of him as my future husband, because the moment he comes closer and he starts treating me like future wife, something goes wrong. And then we started working layers by layers, and then she went back to her native place in her regression. And she saw a family get together coming from a community where cousin marriages were allowed and are allowed. So aunt proposed that this girl is reserved for my son. So the girl got offended with aunt's audacity. Says, who is she to decide about my fate? And she didn't like the cousin anyway. So in front of everyone, she insulted aunt and says, anybody else in the world would do, not your son. And then aunt said, now watch, you'll never be able to get married. That story was over years back. She was not even a teen at that time. And she'd forgotten. However, after cracking that story, she became absolutely quiet, peaceful. She understood that somewhere she was proving her aunt right. She didn't have to. We worked on the deep impressions this particular incident had on her, which in fact she had forgotten, but it was there in the subconscious mind. Otherwise, she would never remember that. And today she's happily married. And things got resolved in no time. So such crazy statements, which goes on the back burner, in the deepest pockets of your subconscious mind, can continue ruling your life forever. And you wouldn't even know what's happened, why you're doing that, why you're anticipating that. And there are plenty of such stories I can talk about. So, as I said, one is just a habit observing loved ones doing. And based on that, there are adverse associations. And third is such past statements and labels can be like curses. Fourth is fear of being fortunate. How can I be fortunate? How can everything would be good? There's been such good times lately. Almost the last 2 days were fantastic, no trouble. So I'm sure there's a trouble lurking from the corner. It can't be so smooth always. There has to be trouble after good times, because the day and night follow each other. So if there's a shiny days, now there's going to be the darker time. Anytime it could come now. I just have to wait and watch. So slightest hint, and then you'll react so badly that even if it is not dark, you will make it darker and uglier. So anticipation of adversities could be because of the fear of being fortunate or disbelief in your fortune or guilt of being fortunate. And the last, but not the least, there are, of course, longer lists, but these are prominent things, is fear of sabotage from others. So if you've been brought up with constant inputs that people can be jealous if you're good, if everything's working well, every time things start going well, you almost anticipate somebody's jealousy, somebody's sabotage, somebody's evil eye, somebody's stories interfering with your stories. And it goes on and on and on. Once you understand the causative factors, and if you're already a Redikall student, facilitator, or a practitioner, you know what to do. You can start designing the statements and go beyond these beliefs and past influences. We have recently launched a course on Transform and Transcend. Maybe you can learn the basics and start helping yourself absolutely free of cost. Meanwhile, let's see what we can do about it. But before that, let's open the forum and invite everyone to add their feedback, their comments, and maybe some more reasons if you want to just talk about. Maybe we can share that. Or if there are questions, I'll be happy to answer. Just know that this is going live on YouTube. So talk accordingly. You can also switch off your video and change your name before you speak so that your identity is kept secret. You can also type questions, which won't go on YouTube, if there is any. Yes, Catherine.
Hello, Aatmn. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I have a question regarding...
I can't hear you. What happened? A second. Try. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Very well.
Super, super. I'm wondering if when doing Transform and Transcend or R5s regarding the anticipation of adversities, how far, how deep should we go? Can we stay on the surface of anticipating adversities? Or would you recommend to go and look for the intuitive path towards the blockage? What do you recommend?
Catherine, for you, I would recommend accept, embrace, and celebrate statements.
Accept, embrace, and celebrate. I don't think I have those statements, actually.
Yeah, so you can connect to any of the mentors, or we can have a separate, it will confuse a lot of people. But
okay.
Yeah, accept, embrace, and celebrate because you've done enough work on yourself. 80 troubles you can work around. The remaining 20, just accept, embrace, and celebrate, because if you do not, your simply rejection of the possibilities is messing up.
Okay, okay, all right.
Okay, so
I see. I might take you up on that offer and ask you by message if you can just guide me through it one time.
In fact, we just had 9 shades of divine feminine, and
yes,
I used accept, embrace, and celebrate because these are the gifts given to us and not to be changed. We've got to work our way around them and not disturb them.
Can I still book it on replay? Because you're done, I guess. Huh?
You can. It would be very good to do that.
Yes, I was looking forward to doing that, and I had too much work here, so I think I'll subscribe to it.
For your convenience.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Great to see you. Thank you for your guidance.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, now we have, here's a question. Aatmn, I used to say my daughter that if you eat more, you will become fat, and she has become one. Yeah. But you don't have to feel guilty about it. Maybe she needed that experience. So forgive yourself for doing that. You didn't know it better at that time. It's okay. She has a choice. She's an adult, and she can learn to grow beyond this, right? It happens to me all the time. I feel someone's evil eye on me, and then I feel better, and then I fall sick again. Yes. And interestingly, We think we borrow the beliefs. We start believing, we start manifesting. What we believe, we manifest, we strengthen the belief. And then the belief perpetuates and goes into our DNA, passes down the generations. Here is an offer for you to challenge some of these beliefs and now change, at least for your life and for your young ones in the next generations. And trust, as you shift, you'll see a lot of people in your generations shifting, even if they are not in direct touch with you, but you'll find a shift in them. And I've seen that very often happening. Wonderful. So it's nice to be aware of the power of your words. And yet, you don't have to feel so miserable about. Now you'll start, you don't want to have anticipation, so you start anticipating speaking something adverse. And so that again, you're back to the square one. Just know that yes, words are important, but you can defy and rise beyond all your preconditioned beliefs and have faith that you're here to allow the divine to speak through you. And when that happens, you'll have minimum or no anticipation of using adverse words henceforth. So every day when you pray, just pray that let the divine beings work through me and speak through me. And then you don't have to worry about adverse words. Whatever happened in the past. You can forgive yourself and carry on and carry forth. Okay, so let's do some recitation, and we'll do accept, embrace, and celebrate, as Catherine pointed out. Though for the beginners, it may feel a little difficult. How can I accept, embrace, and celebrate when things are adverse? My level 6 students are struggling with it. So I understand the beginners, wanting to accept, embrace, and celebrate. However, let me tell you, just say it unless you simply don't resonate. So you don't have to force yourself to recite something which you don't really resonate with. And definitely not against your conscience. So if you feel that you are not accepting, you're not embracing, and you're not celebrating, please don't say the same statement. Instead, say, I accept, embrace, and celebrate. My resistance to accept, embrace, and celebrate. So let's start. Okay, so if anything you can't accept, embrace, and celebrate, just recite, I accept, embrace, and celebrate my resistance to accept, embrace, and celebrate, till the time you start accepting, embracing, and celebrating once again. Okay, there we go. Right. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my anticipation. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my anticipation. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my anticipation. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my anticipation of adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my anticipation of adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my anticipation of adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of inviting adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of inviting adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of inviting adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my past stories. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my past stories. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my past stories. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my unhealthy beliefs. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my adverse beliefs. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my adverse beliefs. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my adverse conditioning. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my adverse conditioning. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my adverse conditioning. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of sabotage. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of sabotage. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of sabotage. I accept, embrace, and celebrate adversities. Now, you'll find it very funny and you'll find it very difficult even to say that, how can I accept, embrace, and celebrate adversities? Trust, the adversities are not your problem. Your difficulty in accepting adversities, seeming adversities, is your problem. Your reluctance to accept and reject on and on can become your problem because a lot of effort and energy goes in rejection and distancing yourself. And if you can celebrate, nothing like it. Even the adversities become the joy. So I accept, embrace, and celebrate the possibility of adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate the possibilities of adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate the possibility of adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of inviting adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of inviting adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of inviting adversities. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my 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 fear of acting in an adverse way. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of acting in an adverse way. I accept, embrace, and celebrate my fear of acting in an adverse way. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all shades of life. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all shades of life. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all shades of lives. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all experiences of life. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all experiences of life. I accept, embrace, and celebrate myself. Accept, embrace, and celebrate myself. I accept, embrace, and celebrate myself. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all that is. I accept, embrace, and celebrate all that is. Accept, embrace, and celebrate all that is. So that's all for today. Have a great evening and all the best. Thank you.